Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Rennes 1, Chelsea 2. Chelsea making it 6 wins in a row, but more notably qualifying for the knockout rounds of the Champions League with 2 games to spare, which I think is really important going into these next crucial weeks for Chelsea. Very busy weeks for Frank Lampard, managing his squad well. I think we all know that next week against Sevilla was always going to be a defining game in this group for who comes top and who comes second. But in terms of qualification, that's in the bag now. So Chelsea know they will be in the hat for the next round, which is brilliant. And all thanks to the heroics, the magnificence, the beauty of Olivier Giroud and that wonderful header late on in the game. Once again, the unlikely hero for Frank Lampard's Chelsea, as he was so often last season. And a bit like last season, the forgotten man, but comes off the bench and scores a crucial winner for Chelsea. There's been so much talk about Giroud recently, and I did predict in my team selector yesterday that I felt he would actually start tonight. And it just seemed written, didn't it? All the talk about him leaving, being let go in January, and Frank being asked questions about him being very isolated so far this season, almost Groundhog Day for him again based on the start to last season, but coming off the bench and scoring a vital goal when need be for Chelsea, and just showing how crucial a player or how useful a player he can be. I think it's different to last season. We have Timo Werner now. We have an informed Tammy Abraham. I think last season with Giroud post-Christmas, with Tammy's injury issues, and also Michy Batshuayi, I think it was a lot more easier for Giroud to break into the team. But he's showing once again how valuable he can be in small parts to make a real impact for Chelsea. And that game was turning out to be a frustrating evening for Chelsea. It really was, as we went into those final moments to create something. Because I think, you can look at the game in whole, and I think it was going down in terms of performance from Chelsea. It was quite disappointing as the game dragged on. I think for me, more from an attacking standpoint, especially in that second half, we seemed to lack urgency, fluidity, when at the very start of the game, Chelsea seemed to be in full flow. It felt like we could open up Rennes, even with a lot of bodies between us and the goal. Chelsea were finding it very easy to get in behind, and there were some intriguing and sort of exciting performances early on. Of course, Timo Werner missing that chance very early on, but I think what that showed you more sort of in depth was Callum Hudson-Odoi taking his chance tonight. I felt sorry for Callum that he got hooked so early, because I didn't think he deserved to be subbed off at that point. I think he added a lot to Chelsea's game, not only scoring the goal, the opening goal for Chelsea, which looked for a long time to be the only goal of the game that would be vital for us in the group stage. But, early on, having a positive influence, making positive runs, getting the ball and trying to make something happen, linking up well with fellow attackers. I think Callum had a really positive night, and I think he should look at that as a big night for him. And I hope Frank Lampard takes note of that performance from Callum Hudson-Odoi. But Timo, unfortunately, had quite a disappointing night, didn't he? He was bailed out by Olivier Giroud right at the end there after missing that one-on-one. Somehow missing the chance early on, a very easy chance to put Chelsea 1-0 up, and in the end would have made things more comfortable for Chelsea. I think would have really opened up the game a lot more. I think it may be tiredness. My concern with Timo, with Frank as well, playing him over and over again, I did expect him to be rested tonight, and I just wonder, when you get a new player into the league, especially one that's so reliant on speed, on acceleration, of bursts of pace, coming into his first sort of English winter time in terms of football, and how congested it is, and how we know that players that you bring in from foreign leagues can sometimes struggle in these periods where it gets so congested. And you just wonder, with Spurs coming up on Sunday, you expect Timo to start that game based on it being such a big game for Chelsea in recent form. You want to start Timo Werner in that game, and you do wonder where Timo's going to get a rest, because I do think he actually needs one pretty soon for Chelsea. But I do want to praise that opening goal, because I do think it was a thing of beauty, and I don't want to brush over it based on what happened later on in the game. I think it was brilliant from both individuals, really key in that goal. Firstly, Mason Mount. I think Mason Mount showing once again how creative he can be. That ball over the top was just absolutely stunning. It really was perfection from Mason Mount. He had some other passes, cross-field balls. I don't think the playing surface was that good tonight for either team. I think it was, I think there was many times where players tried to pass the ball, had to take several touches. I don't think it was the best playing surface, but some of those diagonals Mason was hitting, and I just think Mason once again becoming so essential for Lampard, and unfortunately was taken off early, I think based on the fact he's played so much recently. But what a moment. Anyone who turns around to you and tells you that Mason is not a creative player, I think once again just making fools out of his harshest critics, really. I think Mason showing once again why he's so essential to Frank Lampard's team, setting up that opening goal, and it was brilliant for Callum, a massive moment for Callum. I did think, there's been so many people calling for him to play a lot more under Lampard. When he gets these opportunities, he needs to take them, and when you actually look at it, when he started against Krasnodar, which I think was his last start for Chelsea as well, scoring the opening goal there, scoring the opening goal tonight. It's only going to help his case getting more minutes under Lampard. I wasn't too fussed by sort of the nature of the rest of that first half. There were some sloppy moments. Ben Chilwell probably had his poorest performance so far in a Chelsea shirt tonight. I was happy with the fact that Chelsea got through a period of danger and sort of pressure from Rennes pretty well. I mean, imagine the amount of corners they got at the back end of that first half with last season's defence with Kepa and Christensen and, all the shambles of last season. I mean, that team would not have survived that many corners. So in a sense, I was looking at it and going, this team can deal with pressure a lot better than last year. But the issue for me in the second half was the lack of urgency in attack. Even when Frank made changes late on, you felt like there was a large period of the game where Chelsea could have gone in for the kill basically and got the second goal and got the job done. But I think it allowed Rennes to get into the game again and sort of give them the confidence at 1-0, any chance they can get to get back into this game. And, I've got to give praise to Edouard Mendy making some brilliant save, especially from the corner late on. A brilliant reaction save. And I felt like that's going to be a heroic moment. We're going to get another clean sheet and it's all going to be down to the work of Edouard Mendy. But it's such a shame that once again, we can see the corner in the final 10 minutes. Poor marking, which hasn't been relevant so far this season. We've seen an improvement in our structure from set pieces. But I think when you give away those many set pieces in a game, eventually luck's not on your side. And unfortunately, Chelsea were punished. And it did look to me like just every sort of pass forward. And I don't want to brush over the midfield once again, because I do think it's important that Chelsea rest N'Golo Kante and manage him well. But I think both Kovacic and especially Jorginho, just not an influence tonight for Chelsea at all. Georgie, I've always said this, if you're going to play him, and when he plays, he needs to be controlling the ball. He needs to be dictating the play, working well. There were some better moments for Georgie once Kante came on the pitch in terms of, Georgie sitting a little bit deeper, but still to me a poor performance from Jorginho. And I think there's been a lot of talk recently about Chelsea sort of not needing to go out and sign another DM based on Billy Gilmour, based on Ethan Ampadu, based on having N'Golo Kante in that position flourishing at the moment when we have our full strength team out. But I think tonight proved once again why Chelsea will look to recruit in that area, because when you do rotate, when you do sort of rest Kante, there is that danger with Jorginho and Kova not really, especially Jorginho, just not controlling that midfield and giving protection enough for Chelsea to protect a lead good enough really. And that last goal came out of absolutely nowhere really, because Chelsea weren't creating anything. We didn't look fluid in attack. It was good we had Ziyech on the pitch. I mean, those subs from Lampard weren't a sign of sort of reserving and sort of sitting back and just holding on to the lead. When you bring on Kai Havertz, when you bring on Hakim Ziyech, that's a sign of intent that you want to go out and try and score another goal. Of course, it did come through Hakim Ziyech, getting that space, Giroud working well. It comes to Timo Werner, you expect him to score. It's a save, a great save from the keeper, but then it comes out to Olivier Giroud, powered header into the goal. And that's the winner, really. And Olivier Giroud bailing Timo Werner out, being the hero once again for Chelsea. All attention now will turn to Sunday, which I think is a brilliant litmus test for Chelsea. I think we've got through these last 6 games really well. I think everyone looked at these 6 games as a real point where Chelsea needed to put together a consistent run of form. Winning all of these 6 games for Chelsea has been really positive, and I don't think Chelsea and Chelsea fans should dismiss that. I think we should be really positive about that pretty much since autumn last year, Chelsea putting a really consistent run of form where we've seen improvement in defence, we've seen improvement in attack. Chelsea can get through difficult periods. I think tonight's another great example of it, where Chelsea face some adversity, but we do have the characters and the quality to get through moments and still win a game where we're not playing at our best. That was not the case last season, and hopefully that will see us through and improve our game this year. But of course, Sunday is going to be the real test to see where Chelsea have gone from, say, the Southampton game, the Liverpool game earlier in the season, to now against Spurs on Sunday. It's going to be a massive test. But big thing in terms of Champions League, it's going to be between us and Sevilla, obviously, for who gets that top spot now based on next week's clash. But it does lessen the pressure for those final 2 games. Chelsea qualify for the Champions League knockout rounds with 2 games to spare. Let me know your thoughts on the win in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonofChelsea, and I'll see you again.